queridos televidentes de LaHoraLite, aquí me encuentro en la ciudad de Paterson, Nueva Jersey, con el alcalde de la ciudad, Jeffrey Jones. ¿Cómo se encuentra, Jeffrey? How are you, Jeffrey?
I'm very well, and how are you?
Good, thank you. Very good. So let's talk a little bit about the city of Paterson. What can you tell me? Let's talk a little bit about different subjects. Let's talk about the crime. What can you tell me about the crime that so much people are actually talking about, so much the crime in the city of Paterson?
Well, I really couldn't tell you unless you told me specifics. But I do understand that everyone will see the city through their own eyes, from the streets they live on, with their own expectations. I'm certain that folks will talk about an expectation of responses, quiet streets, tree-lined streets, whether it's real or not. But I don't know that many folks talk about what contributions they can make to help solve crime by contacting the police department and letting them know of certain things that are happening, by telling folks who are sitting on their porches who shouldn't be there, you need to move, by making sure that the windows and doors are locked. Crime is a manifestation of what they call bad social upbringing, meaning that folks don't understand to appreciate other people's freedoms. And so if you let someone take your freedom, that is a crime. And that's from where part of the notion of crime comes from.
So basically you're telling me, I know that now we have a percentage of police officers that came back into the city,
Yes.
which I think that's great for the city of Paterson.
We worked hard to make that happen. Yes.
So tell me a little bit about that.
Well, the reason the police officers, and let me be clear, a lot of folks have referenced the loss of police officers, but the city lost 472 employees total. That included Department of Public Works, Parks and Roads people. That included not fire personnel. That included every other department, actually, other than that. Police and fire unions, you can't take or address them because they are protected class. But 472 people, some had been here for 30 years. They have to lose their jobs because they were not either certified or they were hired incorrectly or whatever because of budget shortfalls. So now we're talking about 125 police officers we could not keep. We couldn't keep them because we couldn't afford them, according to the state. The state said that the city of Paterson had not been doing well with its budget. All of us thinking that the city's fine. But once you take over and you get a government, state government like we got, and they're looking at how much money you collect and how much you spend out, they said, no, you can't do this anymore. They actually told me that we should have had a layoff a long time ago.
Wow.
Probably back in, they didn't give me a year, but I'm going to say probably about 2006 or 2004. There should have been a reduction in force because we had not been collecting the taxes like we should have been. Right. You can't keep people on the payroll if you're not collecting the taxes to pay for it. So bringing back the 37 police officers has been good. But all of the officers that we bring back won't go out on the street on the same day. You got to break them up into thirds, and that's how our department works according to state laws, right? They, some are going to be on vacation, some are sick, some are going to be in training, and you have an AM shift, a PM shift, and a late night shift. So they have to be there.
They have to be rotating.
Have to be rotating. So when you talk about the total number of police officers we have to the total number of the population, which is 145,000 people, the 300 plus police officers to 140,000 people would mean a half a police officer
on every shift
to every 6,000 people.
They have to be serviced, those 6,000 people, if something happens in the city.
One police officer or half of one police officer for every 6,000 people.
Okay.
You'd have to divide our total population, 145, and my math may not be well, by 300 some odd police officers. And so you'll see that if every ward has 25,000 people and you did, let's say 100 people, 100 police officers, you have less than whatever number per ward. Right. So if you had 16 fights or 10 fights citywide and all the police went to 10 different fights, there you go.
Yeah.
If you have dogs barking and screaming and music playing, plus the 16 fights,
right,
plus a traffic and an accident, there you go. And if you call and you want someone to come because you're saying this is happening, you should call. But here's the reality. The people in dispatch are trying to find out if it's a question of life or death. If it's not life or death, they're going to send the police officer to where they think it's a life or death
It's
situation.
like a priority.
It is a priority, correct?
Okay.
Right.
All right. Let's talk about another subject now that we ended a little bit about the crime in the city.
Okay.
I know there's different activities that people might not know that are happening in the city of Paterson. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure, I'll do my best. We have activities for seniors, youth and young adults, children, and adults. For instance, this Saturday and the next couple Saturdays at the Falls, we have the Jazz Festival that the city has put together so that folks, couples, families can go to the Falls with a blanket chair and just listen to local artists who are playing jazz music. You get to buy food and relax.
And they can just lay there.
Just chill out from 6 to 10. We also have photography for young people in a partnership. We have summer day camp. We have partnerships with the YMCA and the Boys and Girls Club. We also have pool activity at Costello and Fifth Avenue. We have Tiger's First Tee, which this administration bought for those who want to learn about golf. We have our basketball and football camps and our programs. For our senior citizens, we do the senior citizen centers, and we take them on trips when we can based on money being available, and we have a picnic for them. We also try to bring in special guests. We do Christmas parties. We do all those things when the state says you have the money to do it or when we have the money for it. We do the Great Falls Festival, not the Jazz Fest, but the festival, which usually happens in Labor Day, and we're still trying to figure out if we can afford to do that. And then you've got all of your parks where you can just go and lounge out and relax and try not to irritate your neighbor. And,
Right.
and if I may, all the activities that we have, every family is entitled to request to have a loudspeaker permit if they want to have a backyard party or something like that. And you
There
can
is
have
a
a picnic.
permit for that.
You can do that.
What is the process for that? Because I'm pretty sure that a lot of people have backyards,
Yeah.
and they want to know what is the process that they can go and actually have that kind of access.
Sure. You can go to the clerk's office or to the Department of Recreation. And
Here in City Hall.
City Hall or at Eastside Park. And then, of course, the police and the different departments have to get involved. But you may not have to have a permit if it's just a little kids party. But if you're talking about a big party, going to have a lot of music, you want to because now there's a noise ordinance that kicks in, which means that by 8 o'clock, you got to turn the music down. Now, here's the problem, and this is why this program is going to be helpful, so folks understand. We don't pick on you. It's not our intent to pick on you. But the Constitution says you have the right to have a party and play music up until somebody complains. And if you have a good time and you're playing your music and you're playing it loud because you want to feel it and get into it, but your neighbor says it's too loud, they can call the police and the police respond and can take your equipment and fine you. They don't have to tell you to turn it down. So what the law says is we should all be responsible. Turn your music up if you choose, but before you do it, why don't you go ask your neighbor, I'm going to have a party this weekend. I just want to invite you and let you know the music will be loud. We'll try to keep it down, but if you have a problem, could you let me know? This way the neighbor says, oh, okay. Of course, what they're saying, am I invited?
Right.
But if you don't say that and you just turn the music up loud and then you have a yard full of people and then you have people in the neighborhood showing up and the person can't park at their home and they can't get to their house and they got people sitting on their front porch, they hear cursing and drinking, what else are they going to do but call the police?
Right.
So it's about us being good neighbors. And that's, when we talked about crime earlier, it's really about us being good neighbors. We need to learn that just as much as we want to have fun, so do other people, but with fun comes responsibility.
Right. So where can the people call for these activities that are happening in the city? Who should they get in contact with?
Well, you should contact every department, and I encourage it. I thought I had the numbers for all our departments, but you can call City Hall 973-321-1600, and you can ask for either police and fire, and the services that each of the departments offer. People may not know, but the fire department gives training to young kids on how to drop and roll in the case of a fire and smoke. They also do programs where they give out smoke detectors and some other things. We used to do other stuff. Fire department goes out and does inspections of tents and stuff if you want to do a cookout and have a big, I guess, sterno or whatever the thing is for festivals and stuff. Police department did the same thing for the locks on the steering wheels. We used to give out those and help you install. Fire department helps you, teaches you how to install car seats for kids, for infants coming from hospitals. The police department does the youth games, PAL, and some other things. And they do a list of things. Human resources or human services does the Ryan White HIV and other kinds of programs, health-based programs.
So all these programs, they can actually call City Hall,
Sure.
the number you just gave them, and they can find out.
And they will find out. You tell them what you're looking for, bags for leaf pickup at DPW. If you want to, this is a city that has some of everything, but you have to ask.
Right. So what would you like to say to those people that are watching you right now through LaHoraLite? What message do you want to give your people?
Hay para todos. It's important that we all know if we work together, we all live together and live well. But if we're not willing to understand somebody else's challenges, then their challenge will become our challenge. This is your city, this is my city, this is our city. It doesn't care what our ethnicities are, it doesn't care what our social statuses is. What it cares about is that we take care of each other. If we do that, we will all grow. Pretty soon we're going to be inviting tourists here by the boatloads and by the carloads and any way we can get them here. They're going to come, they're going to bring their revenue. They're going to buy things. They're going to create jobs, create all kinds of opportunities.
The city of Paterson does have history.
Does have history. But if we're not ready, if we're not communicating with each other, if we're not preparing for the growth, they'll come. And other people will come and they will take over those opportunities. And we'll sit back and complain about things. We'll sit back and let the garbage sit in front of our homes and along the streets our kids have to walk to go to school and in our parks. We'll sit back and complain and they'll be rich and famous.
Jeffrey, thank you so much for your time.
You're very welcome.
The people from LaHoraLite, I'm pretty sure they really appreciate you talking to the cameras today.
My pleasure.
De nuevo a los estudios, Luisa Rosario.